From luxury penthouses to cold prison walls, Lil Durk's world has flipped upside down over the past 5 months. Now, the feds have him sitting inside MDC Los Angeles, waiting to face trial on serious RICO-style charges. They're accusing Durk of putting a price on a rival's head, and if convicted, he's staring down a life sentence with no parole, no second chances. But before that trial hits, fans are wondering, what's really going down for the OTF boss behind bars? Inside Lil Durk's prison life. Once living large, now locked up. Here's the story. Luxury vehicles, private jets, multi-million-dollar residences, and a career that put him at the pinnacle of the rap industry. However, all of that was taken away in an instant. He is now waking up to the chilly, darkly lighted walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles rather than designer bedding and vistas of the beach. After being taken into custody on October 24th, Durk, real name Durk Derek Banks, was first detained at the Miami Federal Detention Center. However, this wasn't your typical run-in with the law. The feds were advancing in full force this time. It wasn't a little charge against him. He was charged with a superseding indictment that linked him to a bloody murder-for-hire scheme. The case concerned Lou's murder in August 2022. As the accusations stacked up, conspiracy, illegal firearms, and orchestrating a hit, the feds made one thing crystal clear. They weren't about to let Durk walk free. His lawyers scrambled, throwing a massive $3 million bond package on the table, but the judge didn't flinch. Bail denied. The court ruled Durk was too big of a flight risk, crushing any hopes of freedom before trial. Then, quietly on November 13th, Durk was moved to MDC Los Angeles, a place where some of his closest OTF guys, Tavon Because Grant, DeAndre Dede Wilson, Keith Flacca Jones, and Asa Boogie Houston, were already locked up on the same heavy charges. They once ran the streets together. Now they're caged in a high-security fortress, their futures hanging by a thread. If Durk thought MDCLA might be lighter than Miami, he was dead wrong. Forget the iron bars and creepy dungeon vibes. MDC's sleek design masks the chaos inside. Built in 1988 for pretrial inmates, it's now overcrowded, understaffed, and straight-up dangerous. Unlike state prisons with strict classifications, MDC throws everyone together. Drug lords, violent criminals, gang leaders, high-profile figures, all crammed under one roof. That combo, it's pure chaos. Fights pop off daily, egos clash, and it only takes one wrong look to spark a riot. Inside those walls, fame means nothing. Durk might run the charts outside, but here, he's just another target. And with contraband flooding in, drugs, weapons, even phones smuggled by crooked guards, the danger level is sky high. Corrupt officers line their pockets while criminal enterprises thrive in the shadows. For Durk, with his rap fame and gang ties, every move is a gamble. To make matters worse, the place is falling apart. Busted equipment, crumbling walls, and basic needs going ignored for months. Living here is hell, plain and simple. Sure, having his OTF brothers nearby might sound like comfort, but in the federal system, loyalty is fragile. Pressure cracks even the strongest bonds, and with stakes this high, betrayal is always around the corner. Durk and his team aren't just killing time, they're in survival mode, fighting for their lives as the feds close in. The case against them is solid, and as the trial creeps closer, trust gets thinner. Everyone's wondering who might flip, who's considering a deal, and who might sing just to save themselves. In federal lockup, co-defendants rarely get to chat. They're separated, monitored, and watched for any hint of witness tampering. Any slip-up could make Durk's situation even worse. And slip-up he did. Durk got caught making unauthorized three-way calls, something strictly forbidden in MDC. Prosecutors pounced, waving it as proof that Durk can't even follow basic jailhouse rules. Why would he follow the law on the outside? It was another heavy hit that helped sink his bail request. But the biggest battle? It might be the mental one. Sitting in a cage, cut off from the world, waiting for someone else to decide your fate. That messes with your head. Durk, who built his entire career on surviving the streets, now faces his hardest challenge yet. Sure, MDC offers mental health services, but they're minimal at best. A quick crisis check or basic therapy. No deep talks, no real help. Just you, your thoughts, and the constant threat of violence. It's psychological warfare designed to break you. Durk's only break from the madness comes through limited recreation, basketball, ping pong, maybe some GED classes. But even then, stepping on that court means watching your back every second. Still, despite it all, Durk's doing his best to stay strong, or at least that's the front he's showing the world. He seemed upbeat in a November 15th prison phone call that was leaked, telling a pal that he was staying positive and focused on returning to his family. "I just hung up with my brother at. He is trying to return home to his family and children while being upbeat and in a good mood." The caption on Instagram said, "Negativity is not being exalted by us. We're not just a bunch of street men. We are code and honor men." However, how much of that is a front and how much is genuine? Prison transforms you, no matter how resilient you are. The stress of a life-altering sentence, the anxiety of an impending trial, and the paranoia of knowing who could flip all pile up. On the phone, Durk may be seeming calm, but in private, he is dealing with a war that is unlike anything he has ever witnessed. Additionally, given the seriousness of the rapper's case, his jail sentence may soon be permanent. Current status of the lawsuits against Lil Durk. Since his original arrest, Lil Durk's legal issues have gotten worse. The charge of murder for hire has now been transformed into something even more serious. A full-fledged RICO lawsuit is pending against him and his OTF colleagues. This might result in life in prison, no release, and no second chances if found guilty. The feds have more in mind than simply locking Durk up. Their goal is to bury him. Unsealed in November 2024, the first superseding indictment lays out a years-long network of violence, retribution, and conspiracy. There is more than one offense at issue here. Using his Only the Family, OTF imprint as more than simply a rap label, the government is portraying Lil Durk as the brains behind a criminal business. They see OTF as a coordinated gang that commits murder, assaults, and racketeering. If the federal government has mastered anything throughout the years, it is the use of the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, to remove prominent individuals from office. Originally intended to remove the mafia, this law is currently being utilized to target street gangs and rap collectives. Lil Durk is being accused by the authorities of being the ringleader, ordering hits, rewarding violence, and sustaining OTF's dominance in the streets by utilizing his money and power. The indictment states that King Von's 2020 murder is the basis for the case. King Von's passing was more than simply another drill music tragedy. It started a domino effect of retaliation, suspicion, and violence. According to the prosecution, Quando Rondo's crew was attacked in Los Angeles in August 2022 after Durk issued a bounty on those guilty for Von's death in Atlanta. According to the feds, Durk himself gave the order, sending his associates over state lines to find and murder a rival. They have intercepted phone conversations, text messages, security footage, receipts, and even lyrics that they say are direct confessions. Circumstantial evidence alone is insufficient. Months of research, witness accounts, and collaboration from insiders form the foundation of the case. There are more people involved in this legal dispute besides Lil Durk. Similar allegations have been brought against a number of OTF members and close allies, including Von London Grant, also known as Orvani, who is accused of helping to plan the hit, organize logistics, and get weapons. Didi, also known as DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, is charged with accompanying the crew to Los Angeles for the assault. Keith Jones, also known as Flocka, is accused of participating in the actual shooting by squeezing the trigger with other shooters. Another important player in the operation who may have assisted with planning was David Brian Lindsay, also known as Browniaz. Asa Houston, also known as Boogie, is said to have assisted in the evidence disposal and driven the getaway vehicle. Each of the more than 25 overt acts listed in the indictment was a deliberate step in what the government alleges was a planned murder scheme. Every action was allegedly planned, from using OTF credit cards to purchase airline tickets to procuring automatic weapons and coordinating moves via encrypted conversations. And it gets worse from here on out. The federal government is not only interested in permanently imprisoning these men, additionally, they are pursuing criminal forfeiture, which means that Durk and his other defendants may lose their possessions, including jewelry, vehicles, residences, and even money earned from music related to these crimes, if found guilty. Witness statements are no longer the only source used by the feds. They have access to and make good use of technology. Many of the coded discussions that the FBI allegedly intercepted between Durk and his gang suggest a murder-for-hire scheme, according to prosecutors. a conversation in which Durk allegedly mentioned greenlighting a target and then rapped about the killing in one of his songs, is one of the most significant pieces of evidence. As we've seen in cases like Young Thug's Rico Tribe and Y&W Melly's, the government claims that his songs are unambiguous admissions of guilt. In addition to phone taps, the government used surveillance footage that tracked Durk's crew's movements before and after the shooting, bank records that showed payments made before and after the hit, and testimony from confidential informants, all of which suggest that someone within OTF may have gone apeshit. At first, a lot of blame was placed on Jam, an OTF member, who was identified as the informant. As a devoted street soldier, Jam had been a longtime member of OTF and had served more than 10 years in jail on an attempted murder charge. However, the rumors began when he was freed in 2022. He allegedly turned informant in secret, wearing a wire for federal authorities and providing them with information on OTF's operations. And it wasn't merely conjecture. According to sources, Jam offered concrete proof that connected Durk to a murder-for-hire scheme that targeted rapper Rondo. Chicago rapper King Yella claims that Jam even linked Durk to the killing of Rondo's cousin Lil Pop, a crime purportedly committed in retribution for King Von's passing. The fire was further fueled by a film that had DJ Academics and Trench's News, a reporter headquartered in Chicago. Trench's News described a pivotal event in the video that might have led to Jam's collaboration with the federal government. According to reports, Jam's baby mom had contacted Durk to request assistance with legal bills. Jam interpreted Durk's dismissal as disrespectful. Jam allegedly raged, "You're not supposed to brush off my call when I need something." The industry paid attention after Trench's report supported the assertion by stating that it was true. Another well-known hip-hop personality who commented on Jam's street-to-snitch makeover was Wack 100. He recalled how, at one point, Jam had appeared to be the epitome of loyalty, returning to the streets with dignity after completing his time silently. After 12 years, he left, was interviewed, and claimed to have been honest. He also brought him cars, gave him $50,000, and mentioned that his name was spotless. As Wack remembered, he's never been a rat, caught a gun case. But eventually he flipped. However, in a lengthy essay published in December 2024, OTF Jam addressed the numerous accusations that he was a snitch and denied being the one. "You'll see that I'm not how the feds got on us or constructed their case when the discovery is made. It's gone, therefore I'm letting the paperwork out. Tell me everything," he said. But according to the prosecution, Durk was more than just a rapper who wrote about life on the streets. He was living it, behind the scenes, planning crimes. There is more than one man involved in Lil Durk's legal dispute. It concerns the broader conflict between the legal system and hip-hop. High-profile rappers have frequently been involved in major legal issues, like as Bobby Shmurda's gang conspiracy allegations and Young Thug's Rico trial. The distinction here is that federal cases are almost impossible to win, and the federal government is engaged. One of the most powerful forces in contemporary rap may come to an end if Durk goes down. His kingdom, his music, and his influence were all at stake. Despite the gloomy reality, many continue to hold out hope by posting hash-free dirt on social media. The formerly untouchable Chicago rapper now faces the prospect of living out the remainder of his days in a cage unless something extraordinary occurs. The trial hasn't even begun yet, which is the scariest thing. The federal government's entire weight is bearing down. When the federal government wants you, they will stop at nothing to get you. What does Lil Durk's future hold? Lil Durk's time is running out. Now that the trial has been postponed, the prosecution and defense have additional time to develop their cases. For Durk, however, that delay translates into more jail time and a greater awareness that his destiny may go either way. His trial for murder for hire has been rescheduled from January 7th, 2025 to October 14th, 2025. A action that emphasizes the complexity and importance of this situation. The government is making it obvious with 20,000 pages of documentation, 230 gigabytes of digital evidence, and hours of surveillance film and witness accounts. They are bringing all of their resources to bear on him. Does Durk have a chance, though? Or is the inevitable being postponed by this delay? This case is being handled by federal prosecutors as one of the most significant criminal cases involving hip-hop in recent memory. Durk is described in the first superseding indictment as a criminal genius who used his OTF label as a front for organized crime, ordered hits, and sponsored violent operations. However, some supporters and legal experts think the government is exaggerating the strength of the case against him. The majority of the evidence against Durk is circumstantial, which presents a significant challenge for the prosecution. The claimed hitman booked flights, rental cars, and masks using the OTF credit card. Although Durk's defense team may contend that several people had access to these cards, prosecutors say this links him to the crime. Durk was not directly implicated only because someone used an OTF card. "Don't schedule any flights or anything related to my name," according to the message purportedly written by Durk. The prosecution will claim that this implies he knew of the murderous scheme, but Durk's defense team can counter that it proves he was instructing people to keep him out of whatever they were plotting. Surveillance footage shows OTF members gathering to talk about cash and music chances following the murder. This suggests that Durk paid for the hit, according to the prosecution. However, it is more difficult to demonstrate that Durk gave the direct command for the attack if he was not physically there. Some fans and legal experts contend that this case isn't as solid as it appears in the absence of a smoking gun, such as a direct instruction from Durk, a confession, or someone flipping on it. Even though the prosecution has a strong case, some supporters do not believe Durk will be found guilty. Indeed, more and more individuals think the evidence against him is not strong enough to stand up in court. "Mark my words, Durk will walk," said a Reddit poster with assurance. Even if he ratted, his co-defendants are in far more trouble because defense lawyers would likely tear him apart during cross-examination, and he almost surely has a record. Similar to this, several supporters contended that there isn't any concrete proof linking Durk to the crime. Durk was not present at the time of the murder, in contrast to the real hitman. It might be challenging to prove he was the mastermind unless prosecutors had a secret weapon. OTF credit card use is not evidence of guilt. Supporters think that certain members of Durk's team had access to the label's resources and money. Durk did not approve of a flight or rental car just because someone made the reservation. Durk benefits from his clean image. His attorneys may claim that in an effort to disassociate himself from street violence, he has donated to charitable causes, converted to Islam, and prioritized uplifting music like All My Life. According to another fan who dissected the situation more, Durk has a 60 to 80% probability of escaping this. That one message about not booking flights in his name is the only thing that may possibly connect Durk to the murder for hire. The defense can contend that Durk was telling them, "Look, whatever you guys are doing, I don't want to be involved." Although not everyone agrees, this argument implies that Durk's attorneys may turn the evidence against the prosecution by making it appear as though he was deliberately avoiding the situation rather than ordering a hit. The feds don't lose, as other supporters have noted, and they must have sufficient proof to support their claims if they are pursuing Durk. Might one of Durk's fellow defendants change their mind? The 5 other OTF members who are charged with Durk currently have an option. Either accept a plea bargain and maybe testify against Durk, or fight the case and face life in prison. DeAndre Dede Wilson, one of them, has already testified and might provide the authorities with all the information they require to convict Durk. Durk's legal team is therefore keeping a close eye on all of the other defendants' actions. At this stage, there are 4 main options. The optimum outcome for Durk would be a not guilty conviction. Durk might get away with it if his attorneys were able to undermine the prosecution's case. Although it is uncommon for federal defendants to avoid all charges, this is not impossible given the complexity of the case. If the case doesn't seem good for him, a plea agreement is probably the result. Durk and his team may work out a plea agreement to lessen his punishment if they determine they cannot prevail at trial. However, because this is a murder-for-hire case, a conviction or even a plea could result in more than 20 years in federal prison. Life in prison is the worst-case situation. Durk is done if he loses the trial. The required life sentence for murder for hire entails neither parole nor early release. Durk might never be free again if he is found guilty. Durk's conviction is secured when a co-defendant flips. Durk's fate might be sealed if one of his fellow defendants chooses to work with the federal government. Insider testimony is highly valued by the government. Additionally, Durk's chances of winning are almost zero if a former OTF member testifies against him. Hip-hop will experience a historic triumph if Durk wins the case, demonstrating that federal prosecutors are not always successful. However, if he loses, it will be a strong indication that the federal government is prepared to take down the most well-known rappers, treating them the same as gang leaders or criminal lords. Lil Durk is determined to keep his career going, despite the prospect of spending the rest of his life in prison. Hip-hop circles are still talking about him. His music is still relevant, and he's still making waves. Despite the fierce legal battle, Durk's team has managed to preserve his artistic legacy. Lil Durk was at the height of his powers before to his incarceration. He was teasing collaborations, dropping hit singles, and laying the groundwork for one of 2024's biggest rap albums. Deep Thoughts, his album, was once scheduled for release on October 18, 2024. Fans had been anticipating this date for months, but everything changed when Durk was arrested. The album was initially subtly rescheduled for November 22nd. When the release date was quietly changed on Apple Music, fans took notice. Many found the relocation frustrating, but they continued to hope Durk's legal issues wouldn't totally ruin his music. The publication was then postponed once more, this time until March 2025, as the situation worsened. The annoyance increased. For almost 2 years, Deep Thoughts have been marketed. Notable songs like Turn Up a Crank, Monitor Me, and Last Checkout keep the streets fueled in the interim. It was anticipated that the album would be Durk's most personal and introspective to yet, reflecting on his ascent, his setbacks, and the struggles that accompany success. On October 1st, a phony tracklist was leaked, adding gasoline to the fire and igniting social media. There were intense discussions over whether Durk was selling out and giving up his classic drill sound when unexpected names like Sabrina Carpenter, Morgan Wallen, and Kai Cenat were added as features. Thankfully, Durk himself put an end to the gossip, proving that the track list that had been leaked was untrue. However, the authentic one, it remains a mystery. Discontinuing Walk Hard, a collaboration with Drake that DJ Academics and Adin Ross have hinted about, is one song that fans are fervently hoping makes the cut. Fans later conjectured that Drake had been taken off the song after Academics even played a sneak peek of what appeared to be the music video. However, there was renewed optimism for the Drake appearance as it was discovered that the leaked track list was fraudulent. Now that Durk is incarcerated and has put his deep ideas on hold, followers are left to worry if he will ever get the opportunity to unleash it. Durk isn't alone in the midst of the turmoil surrounding his case. His family has supported him throughout the entire process, appearing in court, giving speeches, and demonstrating to the world that they will always be there for him. India Royale, his lifelong girlfriend, is one of the most well-known fans. After his detention, India was seen outside the courthouse. This incident swiftly went viral on social media. Reactions were triggered by photos of her waiting for developments while standing steady. Her support of Durk during his worst hour was hailed by some admirers as evidence of their love. Others, on the other hand, minimized it, claiming that a committed partner should be expected to exhibit this degree of commitment. Why are we behaving as though this is unique? This is how every relationship should behave, according to a user on X, formerly Twitter. However, some were uncertain about the duration of her support. We'll see if she will remain with him during this difficult period. Beginning in 2017, their partnership has experienced many highs and lows, including a brief split in 2022. India, however, has continued to play a significant role in Durk's life throughout it all, and her appearance in court implies that she is supporting him once more. Click on the video that is currently playing on your screen to view more videos like this one.